Today I fucked up by sucking dick at home. Throwaway account. I just can't and some background info. So I'm a dude, gay and all, and I'm in a secret relationship with my boyfriend, of 2 years. We pretend to be just the best of friends, not holding each other's hands, cuddling etc. Unless we're in a guaranteed secure and private space, like in a bedroom. I live with a religious family, and they're pretty homophobic except for my big sister. She's pretty supportive. So here we are, June 12th Wednesday, I decided to invite my BF over as usual. It's not strange for him to come home with me. He had a pretty good friendship with my mom and dad too. So there we were. We just finished eating dinner while we laughed on the table, you know, the norms. Kiss my mom and dad goodnight. My BF drops a good night to them as well, and they enter their bedroom, while we enter mine. I live in a 1-floor house, but it's pretty long, with my parents at the end of the hall, so I pretty much had a lot of privacy in the night. So we began doing the usual, cuddling on the floor where his mattress is, kissing each other, until things became spicy. I'm not gonna explain anymore, since I don't wanna be a guy from r/behave sex. Anyway, it leads to him sitting on the bed and me sucking him off. That's where it all went wrong. I forgot I asked my dad to fix my broken shoes for P tomorrow, and he's one to sneak into my bedroom to drop stuff in. I usually know when he would come, even had one close call, but I was just into the moment that I couldn't focus on my environment. Oh there, I hear the door open, some light comes in, and next thing you know he began shouting and kicked my BF out in nothing more but his pants. It was a long night of shouting, a night of me and my mom crying, and here I am just laying in bed, planning to maybe sneak out to school while my parents quarrel in the bedroom. Too long didn't read, invited my BF home, got caught sucking dick by my religious dad. I might send in updates, but who knows. Did you occasionally shout bromico things like yay that chick had amazing bazongas? To throw your dad off the gay scent? Edit, op if you see this just act like Captain Holt on Brooklyn 99 when he has to act straight. It's foolproof. Tell him your socks were on so you're good. We were both thinking of Jessica at school. You know, this was bound to come to a head sooner or later. Hopefully it doesn't blow out of proportion. Does nobody on this sub lock their fucking door? Seems like the type of house that doesn't allow locked doors. Edit, might not even have locks on the doors. Oof, this is somewhat relatable to me. Thankfully my parents never caught me sucking a guy off, mainly because I wasn't even sexually active until like 19, but I can definitely relate it to the homophobic family and fighting. Mom found out I was gay when I was around 14. By reading an email I sent to a friend. For literally the next several years we fought almost every night. Shouting, crying, then going back to our respective rooms and not talking the rest of the night. She would say I chose this, that I just didn't want to be happy, equate it with if she discovered I was doing hard drugs. Thankfully she never threatened to kick me out into the streets, but she did once say I should go live with my lesbian cousin and her wife in Boston to see what that lifestyle is like. Honestly sometimes I wish I had said yes. I'd like to say that eventually she came around and accepted it, but life doesn't really work that way. We don't fight anymore, but it's a don't ask don't tell situation. It's been like 12 years and she's getting better, but I'd if I'll ever be able to bring a guy home to her. My dad I don't think cares, but my mom wears the pants in the relationship and forces my dad to go along with her choices. Now, this might seem discouraging, like I'm just making things worse. But something important to realize is I made it. My relationship with my mom is strained sometimes, and I don't trust her with my emotions much anymore. But we don't fight anymore, we get along like a normal family, and I am still me. And let me tell you something, if I can make it, so can you, cause I'm a little bitch. Hang in there. Never give up on who you are. Things will be rough for a bit, probably, but you're not alone. If you ever need to reach out to someone, there are tons of people out there like you. And, hell, you could talk to me if you need to. Good luck, and well wishes. Today I fucked up by ruining my best friend HIV diagnosis revealed to his parents and giving his mum a mini stroke. This happened 2 days ago and I still cannot find a large enough rock to hide under and never go back to civilization. So my best friend has been confiding in me and has appointed me as his confidant on this journey since he's been diagnosed with HIV. He has been a champ and the doctors have gave him good hope. I've been there on most of his medical visits, so we've bonded close over this. So anyways, this weekend he invited me to go to his parents' retirement lodge up in northern Arizona region. We have visited his parents before and they were happy to see me again. It's about a day I fucked up a ranch-style lodge, hidden in the vast number of trees that cover this area. He arrived Saturday morning to join his parents for breakfast. It was all going great. We were outside enjoying breakfast outdoors and a wood fire burning and the tree branches and leaves providing an incredible canopy shading us from the sun. But there was quite a few mosquitoes because it had rained a few days last week. We kept swatting them away. His dad set a scented candle and other things to keep them at bay. This is when the hits the fan and oh boy did it really hit. So me being a big clown, I open my giant mouth and try to joke with them saying, "Don't worry, John is taking his meds so we won't all catch HIV, ha ha." His mother's face, dear Jesus Almighty, if you could have only seen his mother's face. Even now it just makes my heart ache with pain recalling that morbid, terrified, eyes peeled back like she just saw her son get ran over. To blabbering out what I just said, it quickly struck me like a cement truck that his parents didn't know. His parents didn't know. Before anyone could say anything, his mom just starts bawling her eyes out. She starts approaching John and saying, "John, is this true? Please tell me this is not true. Our guy's just joking." She's crying streams of tears. John doesn't know what to say. His dad is trying to comfort his mom and I'm there frozen, a deer caught in the middle of the road with high beams pointed dead on the face. His mom quickly begins losing it. She goes from long drawn out moans of pain, like she is getting stabbed on the back, to these bursts of oh and says, "I don't feel good, my chest hurts, ooh." His dad roars out at us and tells us to call an ambulance. A few minutes later, the paramedics arrive. They start taking out all their equipment and attending to his mom. They later told us that she had a mini stroke. At this point, for the 100th time I turn to my friend and I apologize again and again, saying I had no clue that I didn't know. He keeps telling me it's okay, it's not my fault. But this is totally all me, I did this. The rest of the day Saturday and Sunday we stayed there taking care of his mom and dad. He explains everything, how this was supposed to be the day he gave the news to his parents after he was receiving good news from the doctors and giving him hope about his diagnosis, but he forgot to fill me in on the plan because he was also very emotional and nervous and it just completely skipped his mind. We went back home, but he is returning again today to be with his mom. Needless to say, I told him to please let me stay because I just felt so bad about this whole incident. Cannot think straight here at work. I don't want none of my co-workers knowing that I was the guy that gave his mom a stroke. Too long didn't read. My best friend planned to reveal to his parents that he was diagnosed with HIV. But my big blabbering mouth spoiled everything and caused his mother to panic and had a mini stroke because of the news. Update 1. Thank you guys for your feedback. I was reading comments while at work, but I couldn't reply back. I took 2 hours of overtime because I did not want to leave work. I just wanted to keep working and not keep replaying the events that took place. My friend and I spoke during my lunch break. He says they have taken his mother to a hospital to be looked for another day or two. They called their family physician who suggested them to do this. I just want to clarify that there was no formal diagnosis given by the paramedics. My friend and his dad kept asking them what was wrong with her and they couldn't provide a clear answer, but for whatever reason, they didn't make it important for her to be transferred to the hospital, especially because they said they wanted to call their own doctor. He did not call them back until this morning. Some of you tell me it's not my fault, some say it is, but now going home I know I have to live with what has happened. The only thing I can do now is just be there for his family and for him. I'm going to call out tomorrow to go visit. Update 2. Some people are asking why I even said that joke in the first place. The thing is, My friend and I have been using humor to help ease the stress of the first few days after his diagnosis. He was the one that began making silly jokes. Stay positive. When I blabbered this joke, I was in that mode, my best friend and I chasing away the sad vibes with jokes, and I honestly thought his parents already knew. Also, this was not supposed to be an HIV reveal party. Come on. He explained to me that he wanted to sit down with his parents to tell them that he has contracted HIV, but that everything was going to be okay and that they don't need to worry because he was getting treatment. No balloons or cake. Third and final update, man, where do I begin? I'm here with my friend this morning at the hospital and they will soon take his mother home. Several doctors have ran all sorts of tests on her and they have come to the conclusion that she basically had a really bad panic attack and the chest's pains were just her anguish and reaction crying after learning about her son. We have all spoken and I have apologized again, to each one of them. My friend said he was getting cold feet and wasn't sure if he was going to tell them, but it was important to him they know and not learn later if something happened to him. He said it was not how he planned it, but he is glad it's all out there now. I showed him this post I made and he is amazed how many people have replied and shared together, so he wants me to include a partial testimony of how this all happened, him getting HIV, and if this well received, he will make a separate post going into more details. Story tells me this started halfway into the year of 2018. He had sunken into deep depression and began using sex toys to experiment with. He said it didn't matter if it was toys for men or women, would use them all. But he kept wanting to feel more. He was seeking love and eventually learned about all these different apps that make it easy for you to date or see other people. He lost his virginity through these apps and this took him over the edge. He said it didn't matter if it was a boy or a girl, he was not after that, he just wanted to go from one sweaty romance to another because it made him feel good and loved. When he watched Bohemian Rhapsody, he said he was disturbed by what happened to Freddie and went to go check himself. Sure enough, he had contracted the virus. To not make this any longer, this helped him to snap out of this depression he was in. He said there was no longer a level lower than where he was now unless he was dead, so he decided to put his life back together. He began by contacting as many of his partners and telling them that he now had HIV and encouraging them to be tested as well. As of right now, he does not know who his was and does not need to know, doesn't want to know either. But he does want to spread the word and for people to use protection and to be tested. Don't put your life in other people's hands. They do not have their best interests. If you be smart, don't let this happen to you. Just for your peace of mind, a mini stroke or TIA, transient ischemic attack, is a temporary loss of neurologic function without any permanent damage. It looks like a stroke, sounds like a stroke, quacks like a stroke, but it resolves completely within 1 day by definition, usually within an hour. These are actually useful because they tip us off that something else may be cooking under the hood that could cause a real stroke. Now this isn't always the case, but it sends a signal to her physician to take a closer look and monitor her for disease. Source: I'm a physician. It's entirely possible the stroke would have happened anyway, and possibly when the mom was alone, which would lead to it not being treated in a timely manner, which could lead to permanent damage. Op actually helped out his friend's mom. As a person living with HIV, it is not uncommon for people not to relate the information to their relatives given the stigma of the 80s. At this point, however, most patients can be treated so long as they take their medication with food. I'm getting up there in age beyond 50 to be honest, and my doctor is more concerned of my sugar levels, my blood pressure and cholesterol levels. These being normal things, I am treated very well and have not at any time that other people have let the dogs out, so to speak. Most everyone I know are well aware that I have HIV, even the place that I work most people know. And also most people don't know the other people's know. Get off the cross, somebody else needs the wood. You sound like a great friend, so don't beat yourself up over this. While I am no doctor, I am pretty sure that there has to be a physical precondition for a stroke. Therefore, the stroke would probably have happened sooner or later anyway. High stress situations, both physical and emotional, can trigger strokes that otherwise may have never happened. I think that the hardest part, when you have HIV, is to fight against the stereotypes about that situation. People, especially the ones who were there during the discovery and peak around 80 to 90s, are keeping in mind the image shared by the media at that time. Most people do not know that it has changed a lot now, and taking your treatment will just let you live a normal life. I kinda understand why her mom reacted like that. Don't feel so bad about yourself about that part. But please make sure that joking about HIV with your friend is okay for him too. Today I fucked up by telling my BF I wanted his dick in front of his family. Bigotry didn't happen today, but a couple years ago. My boyfriend was at the grocery store and had called me to ask if I wanted him to pick anything up. We joke around all the time, so I replied back with, "No, just the D." I guess he didn't hear me because he asked me to repeat myself, which I then shouted, "No, just that big dick for tonight." He didn't laugh and just quickly hung up after a rush took by. At the time, I just assumed he was in a rush, so maybe that's why he didn't appreciate my joke. Later that night when he came over to my place, he told me he had put me on speaker and was standing with his mom and sister. They just exchanged awkward looks when it happened. We have now established a rule that whenever we put each other on speaker and there are other people around, we would give a heads up beforehand. I still cringe every time it pops back up in my mind. Too long didn't read. My BF put me on speakerphone while standing with his mom and sister. I shouted loudly that I wanted his big dick tonight. I thought it was general rule of thumb to always start with your on speaker when starting a conversation over speakerphone. The way, not a massive fuck up, just confirmed his mum's thoughts that you're banging her son, if she didn't already know. I thought so too, but apparently he didn't know that. Woman face palming. Just carry around a bottle of vitamin D and every time you're around them whip it out and shout, "Time to take the D for tonight." Mom, Big Dick was back in Ozila too. I work with a lady who is currently on parole and living in a halfway house. One of my co-workers who lives near the house, often gives her a ride home after work. One night apparently he had his wife on the speaker and she asked him if he was giving crackhead Betty a ride that night. She doesn't get rides from him anymore. Either the wife even did it on purpose or she just didn't think about the fact that you're automatically on speaker while driving, because from the framing of the question she did know that. Either way, the wife might have been kinda worried that Betty might show some special gratitude for those rides. Thoughtful face. At least you asserted dominance, so there's that. A straight fucking power move.